Hi there, this is Kingsley. So I'm a lifetime Android user. What that simply means is that I've been using Android phones since the days that I started using smartphones. A couple of months ago, I decided to switch from Android to iOS just to get that full iOS experience. In this video, I'm going to tell you what that experience has been like, alright? But first of all, let me give you my brief history with mobile phones. Now, I started out using Nokia Symbian phones back in the day. Those were the big deals. Phones like Nokia Express Music, Nokia N95, and all those other phones. Then from there, my first ever smartphone, I think, was the Sony Ericsson P1i, the one that had a stylus. It was a terrible phone as of the time, but it was a big deal. Like, that was the phone for the big boys. So I had that phone. From there, I had a couple of Blackberries. I used a lot of Blackberries, like the Blackberry Bold and all those other ones. Then my first ever Android phone was the Samsung Galaxy S. That was the first ever Samsung in the Galaxy S series. Then from there, I moved on to the Samsung Galaxy S2, S3. Then I used another Sony phone, which was, I think, that was the first Android phone to be water resistant. That was the Sony Xperia Z. I moved to that one. I used that. Then I used the Galaxy Note 2, Note 3. I've pretty much been switching between the Samsung Galaxy S and the Note series since that time. Now in 2014, Apple announced the iPhone 6. I felt like that was an iPhone for me because it was big enough, like it had that big screen like the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 and the Samsung Galaxy S4 or S3. Because the reason why I didn't use iPhones before that time was because iPhones were just too small, like the sizes iPhone 5, iPhone 4. I'm a big guy, I have big palms, so those phones were just too small for me to use. So that was why I stayed away from my iPhones. But from the iPhone 6, I felt like, fine, this was an iPhone for me. So in January 2015 or so, I bought my first iPhone. That was the iPhone 6 plus 128 gigabytes. I started using that phone, but I didn't use that phone for long. I just used it for a couple of months because I realized that coming from an Android side, and starting to use iPhones gave me the clear understanding that iOS and Android are like these two siblings. One is allowed to do what he or she likes, what he or she pleases. This particular sibling is allowed to change the style of his room, allowed to buy a new car, allowed to stylize his or apartment the way he or she wants. This other sibling can't really do all that. This other sibling is only stuck with what mommy or daddy says he or she can do. He cannot change the style of his room. He or she can't change his or her hairstyle and all that. So I just couldn't cope. So I sold that iPhone, I think a couple of months, like 4 months or 5 months later, I sold it. And then I got another Samsung Galaxy S series device. And pretty much since that time, I've been switching from various Android phones to the other. It's not like I've not been using iPhones. I've been using them. Like, in fact, I've had every single iPhone. It's just that I only use them, I keep them maybe when there is a new iOS update or there is something I want to do that pertains iOS and Android. I will actually bring them out and then probably do an update, check what I want and compare and contrast and all that, so I can give information to my clients and to you guys here that I talk to. But apart from iPhones, I have pretty much been using a lot of Apple gadgets and a lot of Apple devices. What most of you don't know about me probably is the fact that I'm a keyboard player. I make music too and I write music. So most times when we are performing on stage, you just have to use the MacBook. You can't use Windows computers for that because there's a lot of latency between our instruments and the computer when you use a Windows machine. But a MacBook will not do that. So we use MacBooks specifically. That's why you see a lot of DJs tend to use a lot of Apple gadgets. It's not because Windows gadgets can't do these things, but it's just that the Apple gadgets do them better. Now, even before the iPhones, I had been using Apple devices. Like, this is my iPod. I still have this. I think this is like the second iPod I ever had. This is a 30 gigabyte version. I know I had like the 120 or the 180 gig version. It's somewhere in the house here. So in the days where the cool kids used iPods, I used to have this and I still have it. This still works. It's just that I don't have any use for it anymore because my phone can actually do what this can do, so I don't have any use for it. So I have used a lot of Apple gadgets, and even till this day, I still use a lot of Apple gadgets, mostly when I'm making music or mostly when I'm in the studio. But that's a story for another day. But a couple of months ago, I was like, okay, I've been using Android for so long, I have literally soaked myself inside here. Let me step out and start using iPhones, and I want to get that full experience of an iOS user. I wanted to put my SIM card inside there and then do away with an Android phone totally. So a couple of months back, I did just that. I got rid of my Android phone. Not like I sold it, I still have it, but I transferred everything I wanted, my information, my WhatsApp and everything, into my iPhone, and I started using the iPhone. It's been an experience and it's been a journey. Like, when I started using the iPhone, the first thing that I could notice was navigations. Like, I'm used to the fact that my Android phone has navigation buttons down here that I can just click to go front, back, home, and all that. On my iPhone, when I started using it, I found myself always trying to click here or click there to go back to the home screen and all that, which was a big problem for me. I struggled with this a lot. It took a couple of weeks to get used to, and then I got used to that. Now, if you guys are interested, I'm going to make a video later on showing you guys how to move your WhatsApp chats from your Android phones to your iPhones. But I was able to do that, and that was a very big pain in the neck. It wasn't easy like when I'm just moving my information from Android to Android or from iOS to iOS. So that was one big challenge. Then another thing is that once I moved my information and I was satisfied that I've gotten everything into the iPhone, then again I realized that I couldn't just go online and see a file, like I see something, an MP3 file or probably an MP4 file, and just download it into my phone. That was a big problem. Till this day now, I still have to keep my Android phone. Whenever I see some MP3 files or MP4 files, I just copy the links and keep, and then I use my Android phone to download them and store them just in case I need them. You know, I know a lot of you will say, okay, we have services like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and all that. Nobody needs to download MP3 files anymore. That is not true. There are some songs that you just can't find on Spotify. For instance, I'm a Nigerian, so we have a lot of local music that I probably love listening to. And these these songs are not available on Spotify, but you can get them you can get MP3 or MP4 files of them on probably YouTube or some blogs that offer them free. So how do I get them? How do I play them rather if I can't find them on Apple Music or if I can't find them on Spotify? I have to download them into my phone, and iOS does not allow me to do that. That is a very big problem. Okay, there's a workaround, but I don't think I want to spend time downloading a bunch of apps just because I want to download a single MP3 file. So that's another big problem that I have been facing, and I've still not gotten over it. And my biggest challenge so far has been applications. Now, there are a lot of good applications on iOS and there are a lot of good ones on Android either. But I think the very simple and very cheap applications that we use every day are not available on iOS, and even the ones that are there are not free. You have to buy them. Okay, so a couple of days ago, I saw a video on my friend's WhatsApp status or WhatsApp stories, and I felt like, okay, I need to save this video. It was an idea, I need to save it. I will implement it in my own videos on YouTube or on TikTok. And I tried to save the video, I could not. So I went to the App Store and decided to look for WhatsApp status saver or WhatsApp story saver. I was shocked to find out that WhatsApp status saver is not free on iOS. Like, how can you sell WhatsApp status saver? How can I buy that application? That's an application that if I go to the Play Store and I search it, there are like hundreds of them there that are free of charge, you know, and I can just make my choice. And I come to iOS, you ask me to buy it. Like, I couldn't wrap my head around why I had to buy that. I mean, like, it's crazy. These are simple things, the small applications that the thing is that on Android, there is an application for almost anything you want. You know, like I had this Android phone once that had a volume keys problem. I just went to the Play Store and searched for an app that allowed me to control my volume within the software of the phone without needing to use the physical buttons. That's how easy the app ecosystem on iOS or on Android rather is, but on iOS that has been a big problem for me. And also most applications on iOS or on iPhones don't have trial periods. You just have to buy them directly. Like, how can you buy an application that you've not tried? Recently I also saw an application that I wanted to use, okay, it wasn't free, but I was like, let me download it and try it for a couple of days and see if I need it. I went to my Android phone, I saw a trial version, I could download it and use it. But on iPhones, there was no trial version. So I'm still trying to come to terms with that, a lot of applications, and these are the little things that keep dragging me back to my Android phone to go and carry it, because I'm so used to this life of liberty and this life of freedom that I can do a lot of the things I want without limitations. Customizations are free of charge and all that. And then on this big boy here, a lot of those things I can do, and it's not actually easy for me as an Android user. So far using an iPhone, I have realized that iPhones are really good, but when it comes to the operating system, it's the little things that matters. Like for instance, I can't do split screen. That's something that even the cheapest Android phones can do. So here right now, if I open one screen, that's where I will be stuck all through, except I close the application and go somewhere else or go to another app. I cannot open one application. For instance, there are times that I would like to be watching YouTube while I'm also doing something else. Maybe listening to maybe watching a music video or listening to a podcast or something while doing some other thing, and that's very difficult to do on iOS. In fact, you can't do split screen on iOS. That's just the reality about it. And then things like file managers on Android, I had a lot of options. I can select a lot of file managers, whichever I want, and install on my phone. And this allowed me to manage a lot of things. Like most times, if I'm out there working, I can load some informations. Like probably if I finish working on my computer, I can copy PDF files, documents, MP3 files into my flash drive. I can plug it into my phone, my Android phone, and then access these files on my on the file manager and do whatever I want, email them and all that. But that is something that is almost impossible to do with the iPhone I use currently. And I think the digital world right now is all about smart living and smart working. Why do I have to use iCloud for everything, copy things into the iCloud before I can access them on the iPhone and all that? Whereas on Android, I can just copy it into a pen drive very fast and then plug it directly into my phone and access those files with or without an internet connection. But those are things that are luxury for an iOS user like myself currently. Currently, Google Assistant is better than Siri. Why do I say this? You see, I'm a Nigerian and I have an accent. An Indian man has an accent, a man from the UK has an accent, an American has an accent, Australians have accents. So one thing that Google Assistant does very well is, even if you have a very thick accent like a lot of people do, it still understands you at least 80 to 85%. But Siri, that's a story for another day. Several times it just messes up. You ask it for this and it says, or it interprets something else. So in that case, Google Assistant is just far better than Siri currently. And I am a person that uses my virtual assistant a lot. And so I have been struggling with Siri a lot on this phone, because most times I tell Siri, hey Siri, call this person. And Siri doesn't even understand what I'm saying. But I could even be from a distance and tell Google Assistant, hey, call this person, and it just puts that call through. And you just can't beat that. Now guys, don't get me wrong. This is not in a way saying that Android phones are better than iPhones. In retrospect or in reality, none of them is better than the other. It's just that there are some things that iPhones do better than Android, and there are some things that Android phones do better than iPhones. And me, coming from the Android side of things, I'm only just sharing my experience with you guys, alright? So don't take my word for it and say, okay, Kingsley said Android phones are better than iPhones. No. The best software experience I've had in my life is with the iOS operating system, because with Android phones, sometimes you keep your phone, you see a lot of applications sending you ads and stuff like that. There are some sites that you just visit, they just take your information and get stuck on your phone, and you keep seeing a lot of ads popping on your phone, and most of them will be consuming your data and even stealing your personal information. But that is not the same thing on iPhones. The software experience is very clean. Some of you Android users will actually say, okay, we have stock Android. Stock Android 2 is not even the cleanest form of Android, because after a while you still start getting those same ads and stuff popping up on your phone. But that hardly happens on this phone. So the best software experience to me is actually on an iPhone, and also the iOS ecosystem is super good. And also things like AirDrop, AirDrop is really fantastic, even though it works on only iPhones to iPhones. But AirDrop is really fantastic. It's one thing I've really enjoyed on this phone. So guys, those are just some of the experiences I've had. If I keep mentioning each single detail, this video might be longer than I want it to be. But in the next video, I'll show you how you can transfer your WhatsApp chats from your Android phone to your iPhone, alright? And until the next time, it has been Kingsley. I'll catch you again in the next one.